MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. We rollin'! Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital
of the world.
Inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay. Race and Sportsbook. You are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show. The only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. As always is the Devious and Dastardly Goes. Our ace co-host. To my right, it's our co-host for the day. From CBS Sports Radio and the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast, Richard Hunter.
Hello.
What's up?
Happy to be here, guys.
How you doing?
Once again.
How you doing?
I'm great.
How you doing?
It's good to see you guys.
We haven't shaken the echo.
It's gone now.
There it is. There it is.
Now you're just making your own.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, I'm just corny. That's a good word for me, right? Corny?
That's really good.
I'm not a dork. I'm just corny from time to time.
You can be a dork.
It's a fine line.
No way. That's one thing I've never been as a kid, or as a kid, teenager, young adult, and as a soon-to-be 50-year-old. I'm not a dork.
You've been a dork before.
Name one time.
Okay, about a year ago on the show, you said...
Wow, I thought he was going to at least say, like, 18 or something.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
was that current?
Recent example.
A year ago on the show, you said, I don't know what these kids are talking about with their jargon, their Austin Powers. That shit was like 20 years ago. You were being a dork.
Should I take that one, or are you going to stick up for
me? Let me back you up. Let me quote my favorite Gorgeous George line ever uttered on this show that I was a part of. Here it goes in 3, 2, 1. And fast forward a year, I'm working at Sears. I'm cashing the checks.
And now I'm on the front.
All right, I also want to welcome to the show from the Gentleman Show, and also you've seen him on Cobra Kai. It is Bret Ernst.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Good to see you here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
They've been occupying the studio with us, and it's been great seeing them crank out their shows. I got to sit in on one of them, and I'm sure if he wants to tell us now, or we'll know soon enough, you guys will be busting out some episodes, right?
Absolutely, man. We're in the process of discussing that now. By the way, we're not sharing the studio. You guys were nice enough to let us use it, so we appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Hey, we were just talking about when George was a dork, because he says he's never been a dork in his life. Have you been a dork?
I don't believe I've been a dork, Brett.
Everybody's been a dork.
You know,
tell Brett what I said. I don't know.
All right, about a year ago on the show, he was talking about all the jargon that kids use nowadays, and he goes, "I'm not following this Austin Powers shit." But that was like 20 years ago. Nobody talks like that anymore.
That was an old man moment. I wasn't a dork.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's define dork. What is that? How do we define that?
Like a nerd.
A dork is somebody that says something, and if there's 3 people in the room, they all take one step back and go.
or they roll their eyes, or they
Let's just say this: I've had a lot of dorky moments.
We all have.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I've been a lot. I've been a jagoff. I've been rude. I've been I've been a lot of adjectives. I don't think I've ever been a dork. I think I've always been not the coolest dude ever. Like Tony Hawk.
Wait, why is your
level?
Why is the worst thing that you could be a dork, and then rude is like kind of cool and a jagoff?
But
you don't want to be a dork?
I don't think I'm a dork.
I think I'd rather be a dork than rude.
People always look to me and go, "That dude's a dork, huh?" And they look at me as if I'm going to adjudicate and go, "Nah, he's all right."
You know where you can find a lot of dorks? Strip clubs.
No, you know where there was a lot of
dork behavior there.
And I'm sorry, I know this is going to wipe out half our audience. At the Royal Rumble, we were just at the Royal Rumble. Holy cow!
Oh, really? How was that? That must have been awesome.
It was awesome. I mean, I guess maybe I was a dork for 3 hours, but. Yeah, man, they were coming in hot and heavy there.
My favorite thing about
the outfits, Brett.
Yeah, my favorite thing about that crowd is the number of people who have the championship belts over their shoulder, like they may need to defend it at any point from the upper balcony.
But if had I only seen like 3 or 4, I probably would have been like, yeah, you're right. But there was so many of them that I felt like, hang on a second, there must be something to this.
Yeah, there's always like 20 belts. Yeah. It's like 20 times. I'm a huge mark, man.
Hey, quick surprise. This is an MMA show. We're just talking pro wrestling, but how about a boxing legend on the hotline right now? From the previous show right before us, at the fights, gentleman Jerry Cooney. What's up, Jerry? How you doing?
Oh, wow.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Boy, I love that show you guys are running over there, and I can't wait to get out there to be with you guys.
All right, cool. Yeah, are you coming out for Canelo? Hasn't that been confirmed versus Danny? Wait. Yeah, Danny Jacobs, and it's going to happen here in Vegas, right? Cinco de Mayo weekend?
and we're hoping and praying we're going to get out there for sure. But who do you guys got on tonight?
Well, tonight we have comedians Bret Ernst, Richard Hunter. They are chilling here with us. And then Cynthia Calvillo, man, she's a badass. She fights in the UFC's strawweight division. She'll be our other guest. But right now, man, we're just going to preview the weekend, preview UFC 234, just kind of hang out.
Well, I love you guys. Thanks for having me on for a minute, and have a great show, and look forward to seeing you when we get out there.
Jerry,
okay?
Quick question. Any big boxing matches we should look out for this weekend? Any level? Doesn't matter, championship level or just
well, Gervonta Davis is fighting, obviously. It's going to be a big fight. But listen, in the weeks to come and the months to come, we have great fights all the time. So if you need someone to help break them down for you, we'd love to help you out. Anytime you need us, we got you, okay?
Awesome, brother. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for popping in.
Enjoy your night. You guys are great.
All right, thank you, sir. All right,
bye.
There you have it. From the previous show right before us. Catch At the Fights Mondays and Fridays. Gentleman Jerry Cooney and Randy Gordon.
I love that Lemachenko kid, man.
Yeah.
He's something, man.
He sure is, man. Great hands.
Something special, that kid.
He sure is. I mean, like, he's probably is a 10 out of 10 when it comes to the actual, if you just want to break down the sweet science, how to throw a punch, how to counter, your footwork, your head movement.
Footwork. Well, he was a dancer or something, too, I heard. Like his
I didn't know that.
Yeah, his father put him in dancing. Or he was like a professional dancer.
Yeah, it rings a bell now. Okay, I think I got that.
But get back to wrestling, man. I used to host wrestling on MTV for like a season.
Yeah, I remember when they
WSX.
X. Yeah, I remember there was an
WSX,
X in the
man.
title.
What was that? WSX.
It was Wrestling Society X. It was an experiment MTV had before they became the MTV we know now.
Okay.
Which is really, I don't know any. Do they? I don't even know if they even show videos anymore.
No. I don't even know. Do they do videos?
I don't even think so.
Yeah, it sucks. That was such a great part of the 80s and 90s.
It was great.
Now when they air a video, they call it a throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you feel old, right?
So tell us what you can about the Gentleman Show.
Basically,
when can people maybe, like, is this going to be for the spring, summer, or how does this work?
Right now we're obviously with M Life here at all the MGM properties, but yeah, we're on. Just go to the dgshow.com. D as in D-Gentleman. Well, the show's the D-Gentleman, but D as in Degenerate. G as in GentlemanShow.com. So it's thedgshow.com. And basically, we're like a men's lifestyle show, but we're really a sports betting show as well. We give sports betting advice. Men's lifestyle. Like, I just went to the Art of Shave. I got a shave. I just literally came from
nice,
there, man.
Right?
Dude, it's phenomenal.
I recommend it to the fellas out there. Every once in a while, you got to go out there and just get one, man.
Dude, we give out a lot of gentleman tips, like things that I think every man should know.
Yeah.
Everything we from bourbon to how to cook a steak properly.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. Now, tell me about Cobra Kai. I know there's a season 2 in the works, and has it been done?
Season 2 is shot. It's done. It's not in the can yet.
Okay.
Really can't talk about season 2, but we could talk about season 1. If you haven't checked it out, it's on.
I loved it, man. I was hooked from the very beginning, and not only did they bring back Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, but they added so many characters like yourself, where you just go, okay, cool. Like, it's not just, like you were hoping that there would be 10 episodes, not just like a movie where you're out in 90 minutes. I liked a series that goes on like that, and because you can build for future. So I liked it, and you did awesome.
The guys that wrote it, they did Hot Tub Time Machine and also Harold and Kumar, and the way they wrote it, everybody, and I can't say myself included because I already knew what was going on, but when you went online, a lot of people were ready to hate on it. You know what I mean? Because why mess with our childhood? Why do we have to revamp it? But they really knocked it out of the park, and I'm not just saying that because, it was up for a couple of awards. They did a good job, man. And to have Ralph and Billy Zabka involved in it as well, I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, check it out.
How well it was received, man.
That'll be back on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, it's already coming back. Season 2's done.
You mentioned the word hate a second ago. Allow me to now pivot into a new topic. Okay. I hate your Cowboys. I think you're an awesome dude. We've had drinks. I've sat here and watched your show, and I wish it the best of success. But I can't stand your football team. And I know you're a big Cowboys fan.
But why? Why? What they did?
It's the fans, man. It's really not so much it's the owner a little bit, but it's the fans. Luckily, you're not as obnoxious as some of the other ones I've seen.
I will have to, and I'm not throwing fans under the bus. Yeah. I will have to say that there are a lot of generic Cowboy fans, and they irk real Cowboy fans as well.
Okay.
But it depends on what you don't like. So you can elaborate on that because maybe I'll fall into that category. You know what I mean? But as far as
I didn't find you to be obnoxious about it. Yeah.
No, I know football.
Yeah, you know football. The history around it. New York, we talked Giants, Jets from a long time ago or whatever. But when I was looking at that, I was like, oh wow, he's a Cowboys fan.
I
had to give you a 99 out of 100.
I can remove my emotions from I mean, listen, I'm a huge Tony Romo fan. You know, and
I thought if they would have kept him, they may have had a chance for
George 100%.
When they had Ezekiel that first season.
Absolutely.
Everyone fell in love with Dak Prescott during that preseason, and
it was tough because you got to go with the hot hand, you know. But with that being said, you know, Romo's never really had a strong defense, a great running. There's never been all those. But it also saved his life.
He was getting hit,
yeah. I was going to say.
But then the line just became incredible as of like 3 years ago.
Well, what'd you guys think of the Super Bowl? I loved it. As a football fan, I loved it.
I bet on it, so I loved it. But take my bets away, and it was kind of boring. But I could see the defensive side to it was refreshing, especially when you – I mean, we had our 54-51 or whatever the score was with Rams, KC.
Yeah.
I love those games too, you know, but this one was tactical.
Yeah, very tactical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
did we lose you? You watched the Super Bowl, right?
No.
Oh, really?
No.
Not even the Super Bowl, Richard?
No.
Oh, wow.
Not even the Super Bowl.
I didn't think Goff would be shook like that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense did what it had to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Seemed
Both
like a bit
defenses.
much. Yeah, and then Gurley wasn't really healthy.
Well, they didn't really play him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you know, they didn't even let him heat up. But it was a good game. I like the defense about. You know, we went from the year before to, you know, to now. One was all offense. Brady threw for 500 yards and like what, 5 touchdowns that game, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then this one, he didn't even throw a touchdown, which you know.
You going to be performing this weekend? I did a quick scan of Twitter. I saw Cleveland somehow in there, but I couldn't tell if you were coming or going.
I'm working on my new hour, so I'm going to be at Hilarities in Cleveland. Just Sunday night, though.
Sunday night.
In and out.
You doing stand-up around town here in Vegas?
Well, I did a set last week at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio just to get up. We had Paul Verzi on our show, who amazing comic. If you check out his special on Comedy Central, it's actually airing right now. And then this week we had Dean Edwards from Saturday Night Live was on our show, and he was working over there, so I went over there last night. But I'm not booked anywhere. I should just made that a simple answer. No, I did a guest set, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not performing on a marquee.
Vegas is a good town I've found for guest sets. You know.
Yeah, you know, some of the casinos are not as friendly as others.
Yeah.
But you know. The ones are the LA Comedy Club here is phenomenal. Laugh Factory here is phenomenal. I mean, dude, it's Vegas. It's a mecca, man.
Yeah.
You mean the LA Comedy Club at the
Stratosphere?
Strat?
Yeah.
No, it's the Strat now. When I was watching the Super Bowl, did you know that, Richard?
Yeah, they've shortened it.
They shortened
it.
They're
pushing that Strat idea.
And you know that the Super Bowl is $5.5 million per minute for a commercial. And I could have sworn it was either 2 30-second spots or a 60-minute spot where they just said, things are different now, and they call it the Strat. And I was like, wow, now that's a statement there.
The Stratosphere bought an ad on the Super Bowl?
Wasn't it?
Wasn't it a Las Vegas thing?
They've got the ability to drop in local spots, right?
Yeah, they do sometimes.
I don't know, man, but I could have sworn it was the Super Bowl because I remember thinking that, like, ooh, that might be something to say on Monday show, which we never got around to. But I saw it's not called the Strat, and it was catchy. Now, years ago, okay, am I going to be a dork here if we're going 20 years back? Bob Stupak used to have this deal where you come in and they give you 1,000 in chips. They just wanted you in the door, you know?
Yeah.
And for a while there, a lot of young dudes would go and party and cash in on those chips. And, you know, once you're there, you're stuck. But then the games came, more kids came, and I think people just started, you know, Mandalay Bay came up and all these other hotels in the 90s started growing, Venetian. But I don't know if it's going to make a comeback or what its deal is going to be.
So they gave you a G just for coming in? You couldn't just – there had to be a twist to that. You couldn't just grab the chips and cash them out.
You couldn't do that. You had to play them, of course.
Right,
you had to play them, but that was the draw.
Here's what I think they might be doing over there because I heard, I don't know if this is for sure, but the Stratosphere, I play LA Comedy Club quite a bit, and I've heard word around there that they are looking to go more toward kind of the vibe of like the Hard Rock here in town, which has that kind of, you know, music scene vibe. The Strat is also an abbreviation for Fender Stratocaster, which is an iconic guitar. So I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it. You know, get people calling it the Strat.
Well, don't they have a good steakhouse in addition to the games? Like there's different ways to draw you there.
They do.
I could have sworn my buddy told me they have a really solid steakhouse.
Talking to
I'll
a
tell you
vegan.
what I do know they have. Their crap table, their cum bets go from 2 to 12 as opposed to 4 to 10 on the craps tables over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I heard the link. You may have to explain this better because I haven't played craps in years. I heard the link has 100 times odds
on
4 and 10, I believe.
On a hard 4 and a hard 10, or just 4 and 10? 4
and 10, yeah. I heard that at the Super Bowl party, but I just remember thinking, I was trying to remember when I used to play a little bit more, you know, like, wow, that's
What's your
pretty
game?
Amazing. Mostly blackjack, but I've been playing the machines a lot, and a little hooked on them, man. I play Keno at a small pace, but then there's this $5 machine that I go in there, and I thought, let me just try this, and I was busting it up for a while, except it got a little too tempting, so I've had to just, like, make sure hey, see you guys, and make sure I go out that door, because if I go wandering that way, I may, you know, start to reach into my pocket a little bit. But it's only because it kept paying and paying and paying. I mean, I asked my buddies. They'll tell you I was doing really, really good on it, because the payouts are, like, you know, they're just pretty big. It's like a double diamond machine or something.
You want to hear what a degenerate I am?
Yeah.
I lost a G-note at the Hard Rock in Fort Lauderdale on a penny slot.
Yeah, but isn't that one of those where
on an Austin Powers penny slot? I swear. If I hear
it's
that, baby, and it would spin, I was down there for, I would say, the show ended at 8 hours.
8 hours?
8 hours.
Now, okay, it's a penny slot, but I thought by the time you go through the credits, every pull's like 10, right?
Pretty
$10?
much, yeah.
Yeah.
But still.
If you're betting every line and every
right.
Wow.
Still, though.
What was that? What was that like?
Up, down.
I mean, you were there for 8 hours?
Dude, pretty much. I'll tell you what happened. I went to after my show, some guy gave me a C-note, right? Italian dude. He's like, yo, that was a great say. Here, take this. Like, I'm not going to take your money. What are you tipping me for? He goes, take it. He was just Guidoing out, you know?
Take it or we got a problem.
So I thought I had a lucky hunch. So I went in, put it in, boom, hit, sat there. It's a long story as long as I was at that thing slot, but
yeah. Can I ask about the? So you said you had a lucky hunch. Like, what stuck in your mind? Was it something about the idea of a penny slot or Austin Powers or?
Well,
what?
you're very limited there at the time because they didn't really have craps tables or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You still had blackjack, but it was just I just stuck it in the machine.
Just a hunch in general, not for that specific game or anything.
Well, I meant
like
$100.
No, okay. So that in of itself
that was I was just like it's free money.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's not free. It's never free money.
Yeah.
What happened once you're up, you're down. You lost the grand you were up, including the C-note.
Well, no, including an extra 300.
Damn. Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what made me mad is that if you're playing long enough, they switch them out.
The machine?
Yeah, they switch the thing out. They open them up if you're there long enough, and then they switch the things. And then my machine was doing so well.
What's the thing, though?
I don't know. It's like a little box they pull out.
Oh, from within the machine?
Yeah, like they open them up. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah,
no.
It looks like remember when arcade games when they would pull out the thing and the money was in
there? I thought you meant the actual the whole machine.
Like they open up the thing. I mean, there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah, like it's
other
like
than a thing.
The cavity of a body or something.
God forbid I know adjectives. And then there's like a box, and it looks like a big USB thing that they plug in and out. And I guess
that's kind of shady. No?
So it's like a shift change.
Yeah, it's almost like a
they
shift
actually
change.
have to say, "Hold on, sir.
Yeah,
Sorry for the
they stop
inconvenience.
my roll.
They do it while
This
you
will
were
take
hot?
a minute."
Yeah, that was it. And then I sat back down, and it cooled off.
It's like bringing in the dealer.
You know, I should rephrase that.
Out of the bullpen.
I only lost about 300, but I mean, I was up. I could have walked with a G. Yeah. But you're right. It's about $10 a pull. When you're doing, actually, it's about $5.
Is craps your game normally?
Yeah, I love craps.
Okay.
I love craps. I'm not a blackjack.
Have you ever been the guy that plays opposite everyone else?
No.
No.
I always roll with the table, man. Yeah. You know, unless it's like an odd point, you know. But I always bet the pass, you know, and then I bet the odds behind the pass. And you know, if you get like a 6 point or whatever, I think over here it pays 10 to 1. So I'll throw a 10. Like if I get a 6 point, I'll throw a 10 on a hard 6. But you know, to get the 2 3s, and that'll keep rolling.
Yeah.
I love
any of that makes sense to you?
This reminds me of when Frank starts talking about guns.
Yeah.
Like if he ever gets in a gun conversation, well, you've got the 365, 82 caliber. I mean, if I ever started gambling, I would need Bret with me as like a seeing eye dog. Just to tell me if I won. Like I'll put the money down. Let me know if I won.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I was on a roll. Like even for the D Gentleman show, man. I took Clemson in the money line. You know, I was
awesome. So did I.
I was on a roll.
They crushed.
And I just thought the Rams were going to win, and I lost. I took the Rams in the under. I actually did 2 bets. Play. Took the Rams in the under, but then this is even worse. I think it paid it was plus 425 or something. The Rams, I gave points to the
oh, like an altered line.
It was 250, yeah. So I gave
adjusted line. Sorry.
I gave 7 points to the Pats. That's how confident I was. Because if you just bet the money line in the Rams, you only won 120 for every 100 you bet, right? It was only like
that,
it was like 120. So if you gave them 7, it was 250, and then and if you gave them 10.5, it was like 450.
Right.
I thought the Rams.
You thought Brady was just going to collapse then.
You know what? It's to me, it's not so much Brady as it is. I thought Goff, and I mean I was somewhat right. They didn't score. He didn't score a passing touchdown. The defense locked it in. I just had no idea that it was all Belichick. I mean, that was where I messed up. You can't just go against Belichick. I'll go against Brady. I'm not going against Belichick. He dismantled. It was just a brilliant chess match, this Super Bowl.
When's the season finale that you guys are filming? Next week, right? I want to come check out another show before you guys.
I'll be honest with you. We're going on hiatus, but we'll probably be back before March Madness.
Okay.
Because NBA's coming up.
The
too.
Freak's cool, man.
Yeah, Javon's a great dude.
Javon
isn't he?
Curse is part of their crew. Hopefully, I'm allowed to say that. I don't know.
No, you can. Yeah, we have
very cool dude.
He's an NFL expert, and then we have the VP of the sports book here. He sets all the odds. Jay Rude.
Jay Rude. Yeah.
Dude, that's an interesting cat. When you talk to guys that set the point spreads, and I mean, he does all the odds, even for fights. He said he had to do the odds for a rodeo.
How do you enjoy sports, though, if that's your job? At a certain point, doesn't it just become too stressful? Like, can you actually enjoy stuff now? Well,
if you're constantly getting crushed, it's probably stressful. But if it's spot on, and what you want to do is get equal betting on both sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you do that, all the parlays,
how do you
all the
enjoy
teasers.
a game as a fan? Because now you're just worried about not being a
maybe
doofus, right?
I would think it would become it becomes its own game in terms of you being right.
Yeah.
Like now, it's like playing fantasy football, but you're the odds maker. So as long as you can sit back and go, "Yep, we
need enough of those
made
days
money."
Where if New England's -3 and they won by 3, you go, "What'd I tell you?" You know what I mean?
Well, they didn't move the line here. They kept the line at 2.5. Yeah, but
it started with Rams -1.
Right, the Rams were the favorite at one point.
Sharps came in and just pounded it, and then it leveled out.
Some places gave you 3, but the MGM stayed at 2.5. I talked to him about that. It's very stressful, because your whole livelihood is based on if you get crushed or not. You want to hear something though? The East Coast casinos got annihilated, and the West Coast casinos did good. Because most people out here took the Rams, and then everybody on the East Coast took the Pats, and the casinos took a beating.
Oh wow!
But I think they only made like it. And this is also another factor. They didn't make as much. They didn't lose as much because you would have thought they lost more over there. But when you go on the East Coast, there's people still traditionally using bookies. A lot of them aren't even going to casinos and stuff. You know what I mean? They're just still going.
Someone tells me the West Coasters are doing that too still.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But there's more money laid through the sites from the West.
Costa Rica's booming too.
Yeah, it is, dude. Absolutely, man.
Big time.
Dude, I'm so glad they legalized it. It's big business, man.
I think NBA, everything across the board. Because Vegas couldn't even have a team. They're going to have a team soon. The UNLV, you couldn't bet on them years ago.
Right.
You can now. So I think people realized, wait a minute,
But you're Niners, right?
I'm Niners.
Yeah. Are you going to end up rooting for the Raiders?
I will have a soft spot for the Raiders. I really want to immerse myself in the new city, which is Vegas. I've been here 10 years now. So I root for UNLV. He went to UNLV. And then the Vegas Golden Knights is kind of like just a newborn. So no way around that. I was a Ducks fan, but I stopped really watching hockey 25 years ago.
We haven't figured it out yet.
I got back into it. But I think football, it's just going to be, I'm going to have a soft spot for them. But the minute someone says Oakland, I'll correct them. No, Vegas Raiders. Because that's Oakland's history. How about you? Well, you're living in L.A., but will you be here more often?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a soft.
That stadium's going to turn the city upside down.
Absolutely, man. Listen, man. Any other sport I'll have a second team on or a special place in my heart for. I'll tell you what. If I wasn't a Cowboys fan, I'd be rooting for the Browns, man. I got a special place in my heart for the Browns. I think. I think
that one. You're New York born.
Well, yeah, but I like the Browns, man. Brian Sipe back in the day.
Oh yeah, okay.
Frank
Minifield.
Yeah,
Bernie Kosar.
Oh, Bernie was later, but yeah.
Who was that tight end they had?
Brian
Ozzie
Sipe
Newsome.
is pretty early.
Ozzie Newsome. They're cardiac kids.
Yeah.
But I've always been a Cowboys fan.
God, I can't remember that other cornerback. It used to be Frank Minifield, and who was the other guy? I mean, they had lockdown corners.
Yeah, that was.
They paint their shoes orange.
Yeah,
this is the thing that I don't understand.
Hanford Dixon.
I'm a Redskins fan. He's a 49er fan. I kind of want to root for the Raiders a little bit, but I have my number 1 team. But if I have a number 2 team, say they make it to the Super Bowl, they're going to have that cool-ass parade here on the Strip. How can I stand there and say, we did it? It's not my squad.
Yeah, but
so
that's
how do you,
just the
how
situation
do you
that
conclude your
think about the last time the Redskins were there. You're worrying about something that might happen, and you're taking away from 20 years of just being a Raiders fan. People are going to offer you tickets. You're going to go, nah, I'm a Redskins fan. You're going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Might as well go and have a good time.
Just that
leave
day
that
when you're with all the diehards and some of them are crying because they've been through a lot of shit.
Deal with it then.
How can you co-sign?
Just deal with it then.
I just don't understand it.
I don't. Me personally, I don't know if I could.
I don't know if I could. That's the boat I'm in.
You know what I mean? Like I enjoy a good.
I want to.
I enjoy a good team.
Look at it this way, man. These players shift around all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Dak Prescott has a house in Dallas, bleeds it or whatever. But if they don't re-sign him, he goes somewhere else. You think he gives a fuck about the Cowboys?
Their union members
They
first.
drafted them, and their allegiances move. Now the fans is more about the city, but technically you're not living in Dallas. I'm not living in Frisco. He's not living in Washington. So we're not immersed in it. We're fans from a distance.
I'm just rooting for a uniform now. And you know, and I think too, it's the way the players and it's a different game, that's for sure, than what we grew up. You know, I mean, those Steelers that won all 4, they were all original Steelers. Yeah. I mean, again, listen, you can't. Brady is the most decorated quarterback of all time. I still, and I hate him with a passion. Montana, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for that.
Well, like I said, I'm pretty objective. Well, of course you do. You're not as fair, but there's facts to that too. I mean, you know, Joe Montana just the only way you could beat him.
He had a better QB rating in the playoffs.
Never threw an interception.
Never lost the Super Bowl. So think about all the fans. Brady, and then he broke their hearts 3 times. Yeah. So you know, just. Like I said, I mean, there's not that many stats.
Well, the other thing, too, is
the other guy played in more, so he's going to have more yards, more completions.
Absolutely.
But I remember a better QB rating. He was more of a stud in the actual Super Bowl.
I mean, look, the kid can't help when he played. It's a different game. Brady's playing a different
football. He had to
football.
go against the Chicago. You know, those guys were monsters. The Giants were monsters.
Yeah.
The Redskins were monsters. Here, it's different, and they play in a shitty division.
Well, let's take his Redskins. I mean, that 92 team is arguably the best in NFL history.
Yeah. With kind of a shitty quarterback.
History? No, for real. They
scored a lot of points.
Dude, they were phenomenal.
I don't know about in history.
That was the one that trounced Buffalo.
I remember.
I think they were down like 10-0.
Tim Williams was the running back or something like that.
No, that one was. Who's the running
Richard,
back?
Richard, don't know. Richard, who was it?
Yeah, who was it, Richard?
I'm just sitting here realizing Bret is the guy that my dad wished I would have been. Like, if my dad were alive to see this, he would have been like, why the hell could that not have been my son?
We were out there for 2 hours. I was like, nice to meet you. Next thing you know, we're covering the history of football.
I just love sports, man.
Yeah.
I love football in particular. And I'm sad the season's over, but, you know. I just don't want to be disrespectful. I actually love Brady. I love his story. I think what I love about this whole we're never going to see this again. We're never going to see a team go to 9 Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And win 6 is phenomenal. But
yeah, I got to give it up.
Yeah, you got to give it up.
I don't know. People can't. A lot of people can't see this, but Ken is in the Matrix right now. Have you seen some of the moves he's pulling off?
He's like Spider-Man. He's like a ninja.
If you want to rob a bank, take Ken. He'll get through the security system.
He'll get through the security system, and he will document the whole experience for social media very well.
No, he's serious. If I go back there and get a water, I'll knock down both cameras and a couple of those bottles.
He hasn't even shown up on the camera. I don't know how he's like ducking and dodging.
He's phenomenal.
They have a great team, man. Check out the Gentleman Show. You're gonna hear more about them in late 2000 or summer 2019.
Well, come by if you want to jump on the last episode. It's before our hiatus. Before we take a few weeks off. It's next week. Javon will be here. It'll be fun, man. It'll be a good time.
Right on. All right, and then Sunday night you'll be in Cleveland.
Sunday night at Hilarities.
And then 2019 we will see Cobra Kai season 2.
Cobra Kai.
But mum's the word on the rest of it.
You got it.
And you're Louis LaRusso. I got that right.
Yeah.
Man, that was a funny character. I love it. LaRusso Imports or LaRusso the auto
car dealership.
Yeah, I love it. All right, thanks for stopping by, Bret.
Can I
give
plug
him a follow on Twitter at Bret Ernst with 1 T. Yeah, go ahead.
Check out my special. I just released it for free online, so you can go check it out. Just go to Bret Comedy, BRET comedy.com. And I just put my hour out there. It's there for everybody to see. You don't have to do anything. So just go watch it.
Right on. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing UFC 234. So keep it locked on Fight Nation Channel 93, Sirius XM's MMA Junkie Radio Show.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I felt like he was running up against a strong defense.
You just blitzed him?
Yeah, I blitzed him. Hit him from his weak side.
During the commercial break, they were probably talking smack about their next guest. But now they're going to act like they're all cool with him. Here they are, George and Goes.
Oh, boy. I certainly don't want to cross paths with Cynthia Calvillo. She knows I've been talking smack on her. First of all, I wouldn't do it. But if I did, she is one of the female fighters out there that's got that fighter gene. You can just tell she means business once the fight starts, and it's so exciting to watch her grow as an athlete and compete in these big fights. She'll be fighting Courtney Casey on February 17th, UFC on ESPN1. Remember the Tough Enough fights, Goes?
Oh, yeah.
And then her making her way through.
Awesome.
She is awesome. She joins us now on the hotline. What's up, Cynthia Calvillo? How are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Man, you guys got me all pumped up with my walkout song on.
That's what's up, man. We know what time it is. Shout out to our producer, Josh. You're back on with George and Goes, and we have Richard Hunter from Phone Booth Fighting, and we're excited to talk to you about this fight coming up versus Courtney Casey. I think it's a great matchup for the strawweights as both of you continue to ascend towards the top, and it's on ESPN. So, the ESPN era has just started, and this will be the first card that, where the fighters will be on the main card, on ESPN and the prelim. So very, very cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked to be a part of history. So, every professional athlete, dreams on being on ESPN. So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Yeah. And so Courtney Casey, she's been on a roll. And, of course, now the champion has decided she's going to defend her title. We have a date for that versus Jessica Andrade. That's coming together. And so now that that's coming together, you can kind of map out your year. Cynthia, how would you like your 2019 to go? Obviously, you're thinking of beating Casey, but then what do you think would be next for you? If you know names, great, and if not, just tell me, do you want to fight 3 times, or how do you want to plan it out?
Yeah, no, of course, I would love to fight at least 3 times this year. Hopefully after beating Courtney Casey, cracking that top 10, and then one more, and then hopefully getting a title shot. I feel like if I keep winning in impressive ways and I get these finishes, then I can definitely be in title contention.
Cynthia Calvillo is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Let me turn it over to Goes. Goes, what do you have for Cynthia Calvillo?
Cynthia, I'm really hoping you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, this is going to be a dud of a question. But your last fight, at the end, the camera focused on you, and you had this look on your face that I hadn't seen in any of your previous fights. And I can't tell if it was relief or what, but it seemed like there was just something behind the actual win. Do you know what I'm talking about? And can you maybe describe that feeling?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Sometimes, when I'm in, it was just it was a tough journey. It was hard for me to come back from having that suspension, and then, having the weight mishap and having a lot of people just talk, and it was just a really frustrating situation for me at the time. And so when I did get the win and I was done, I was just kind of like, my emotions just came out, and I'm like, what's up? Like I say it like 20 times or something. I was just excited. Sometimes when you go in there, a lot of fighters, you're just so overwhelmed with the feeling and happiness or whatever it is, and my emotions just came through, and it just definitely felt great to get the win after all that that had happened in that past year, since I didn't get to compete all of 2018 except for that one time.
Do you feel like you can shut the door on all that stuff now, and was maybe that moment like a rebirth of you?
In a sense, but not really. I'm still, honestly, as soon as I was done with that fight, at the end of the night, and everybody was like celebrating and trying to have a good time, I felt like I still couldn't all the way, just because the mishap with my weight. I'm really hard on myself, and I just didn't want to leave any room for excuses. So I want to get it back. So I'm excited. I'm excited to come back and make weight and fight and win without any excuses. As soon as I got done with the fight, later on, I ran into Nick, and I'm just like, what's next? You got to get me back. I gotta get this all right. I just wasn't too happy with myself, even just winning and having, the mishap with the weight. And it wasn't so much it was undisciplined or anything like that. There was just some things, there were just some errors that were made. And so we just got to clean it up, as far as the weight cut, and hopefully, it goes better this time around.
We're talking to UFC strawweight Cynthia Calvillo, who you can follow on Twitter at CYN_Calvillo, or on Instagram. She definitely is got a lot of followers there. Catch her there at Cynthia.Calvillo. And she's fighting Courtney Casey at UFC on ESPN1 on February 17th, which, by the way, is a Sunday. So if you're going to Phoenix, plan that out. Make sure you don't assume the usual Saturday night lineup that the UFC has. They're doing it on a Sunday, again, in Phoenix, Arizona. Sorry about that. And these are high-ranked strawweights, top 10 strawweights. The strawweight division's always been popular. All right, let me turn it over to Richard Hunter from the Phone Booth Fighting podcast. Richard, what do you have for Cynthia Calvillo?
Yeah, Cynthia, when you really started to come on my radar was I was hearing you hyped up from Justin Buchholz, who I used to talk to quite a bit, and he was one of your earliest champions, with you training out there at Team Alpha Male and all that. And I think you've had 3 submissions since you've been in the UFC, a couple of decisions, but I know you've had knockouts before that, and you on paper at least you have a pretty well-rounded resume. And one thing I don't know a lot is your background coming into the UFC. Can you tell us a little bit about that, as far as like the disciplines that you originally gravitated toward, and did you envision yourself being more of a submission stylist versus a stand-up fighter, etc., and then that juxtaposed to how you've found your path so far in the UFC, because everything indicates that there's a well-rounded aspect to your game.
Well, thank you. Well, I started everything at the same time at an MMA gym, so I didn't really have just one discipline. Honestly, even like for as good as my ground game is, it's like I didn't really practice too much with the gi at all, so I never really ranked up in just one single discipline. I just focused everything on MMA. I started training MMA, and then a year later I had my first MMA. And it just happened to be that I excelled a little bit better. I'm more of a natural grappler and submission wrestler, I would say. When I first started, though, I would just throw a lot of haymakers. My first fight was a knockout, and definitely have that fiery warrior blood, Mexican blood in me. So I've always just been a really tough girl. But before the UFC, my dream was always to just get into the UFC when I started training and fighting, but I started everything the same. I just keep working on everything. I do feel like most of my fights I have more success on the ground, but I've been working on my stand-up a lot, and, you mentioning Justin Buchholz, he's my head coach, and he's been focusing, pretty much all of his focus is on me right now. I'm like his only fighter, so I'm extremely grateful about that, and we just keep working on the game. He wants to help me get there. He wants me to be a world champion, and not only as a strawweight and hopefully a flyweight, sometime in the future.
All right, so I did want to ask you 2 last things here, Cynthia. Back to George, and with Poliana Botelho, again, because you were coming off that suspension and then you had the weight mishap, I interpreted, I guess. I felt like you were being overlooked, because Poliana also had a little bit of hype to her, as well. And it's almost like a lot of fans were tuning in to see maybe her go up the ranks, and you stopped it. You know what I mean? And I felt like maybe that was like a middle finger to everybody who thought your time was in any way up. Am I reading too much into it?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it was just, you're always going to go in there with some kind of nervousness, and I was ready. I knew the thing with her on paper, that it looked like, she was 7-1 with 6 knockouts. Yeah. And then you see me and you see my fighting style, and then I went against Carla Esparza, and I think they looked at Carla and were like, hey, Carla doesn't really have the best stand-up per se, and she beat Cynthia. So I feel like people were just kind of like, oh, this girl, she just came off of a 30-second knockout. She's a powerhouse. Yeah. They just, so it was okay. And then I also know with the weight cut too, I became even bigger underdog. The thing with people, and something that I've learned, especially with my suspension, is that you lose one time, you have one mishap, and everybody will turn on you. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. I have no doubt that if I continue winning, I mean, obviously it did give me a little bit of motivation and push. It's always nice to have, a motivation behind, whether it's good, positive, or negative or not, just to use it and, come out on top. Mm-hmm. That's the most important thing. And, I don't blame them. I don't blame them for trying to overlook me, but, it's not over. I'm just getting started. I'm excited. I had one of the best 2017s. Ever. And again, appreciate you guys for voting me the newcomer. I think you guys gave me newcomer of the year, so that was dope. And then 2018, I had my one fight. Poliana was definitely on her way up, and no doubt she's going to come up. She is a vicious fighter and striker, and just in general, an MMA fighter. And I think she's going to move up to flyweight. I think so, because before she got into the UFC, she was also a flyweight champ. Mm-hmm. So I know there's a lot of people moving around with that, but Kamala, it doesn't surprise me. Like I said, you guys either get on the train or get out the way. It doesn't matter to me.
I like that. All right, one last thing here. The couple times that we've had you on the show, you've always mentioned that when you were younger that you had kind of had that fighter mentality. How would your friends describe you? Like, were you, Cynthia, like a hothead per se, or were you just like the type of gal that would stick up for your friends in case anybody ever punked them or bullied them? Like, how would your friends and family that you grew up with, how would they speak about you in regards to that, your toughness?
I would definitely say, no, I wasn't a hothead. I wasn't just like, I would never just start fights with anybody ever, but I would definitely not back down, and if I seen anybody getting picked on, believe me, I'd be the first one to say something. It's just in my nature. I never liked bullies ever, and I don't like people being picked on, and I was definitely more just like I think I just gave off this, like, don't fuck with me kind of vibe. Right. But I was super nice. I think I like to think that they said I was pretty chill, except for definitely don't fuck with me or mistreat my best friend, my friends.
When you've gotten back to if you've gone back to any reunions, or when you just see your high school classmates, what do they tell you? Is that what they thought you might do? Be an athlete involved in combat sports? Or does that catch them off guard?
No, definitely caught him off guard. I mean, I took I wasn't super. I mean, I was athletic, but my parents never put me in any extracurricular activities. I never did any sports or other than PE. PE was my favorite class, but I only I would say they were very surprised with because it wasn't like I would just get fights in high school. I wasn't like getting fights or anything like that. But I was definitely not someone that would back down if anybody wanted to mess with me. But I say if I go back to my reunion, a lot of people would be very surprised. And I feel like even when I talk to some of my friends now, they're like, "Man, you did it for us," And I'm like, I still can't believe that I get to do this. I'm, that I fight for the UFC on the biggest, fighting platform in the world, and I'm extremely lucky, and I feel like my job's not done yet, and I want to become a world champion, and hopefully take that back to San Jose. And but yeah, I would say a lot of them would be surprised, that I'm doing this now.
And you're doing a great job. It's fun covering you. It's fun watching your pre-fight build-ups. Your fights are awesome, and we're very, very happy for your success. So good luck with the rest of your camp, and especially on February 17th. Versus Courtney Casey. That should be a great fight. She's doing well as well. And thank you very much for always giving us time here on MMA Junkie Radio.
No, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a good time. I remember my first interview that I guys had was in Tough Enough when I fought, I think it was like 2014, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 2013, 2014. But I remember going there to go talk with you guys. It's always fun. It's awesome to see the progress that I've made since then. And I really appreciate you guys giving, voice to all the fighters and letting us talk and, connect with everybody in the community and really seeing, that we're real people. And, I appreciate that. Again, I want to just continue proving myself and show you guys that I'm a real professional athlete, and I want to represent everybody and, hope to be a champ one day. And again, thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for the time, Cynthia. Take care.
All right, you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take our last break. That was Cynthia Calvillo, man. She's really, really a fun fighter to watch. She is a fighter through and through. Follow her on Twitter at CYN_Calvillo. And we will be right back here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Fight Nation Channel 93. Don't touch that dial.
We should have that looked at.
Injuries forced them to retire undefeated from MMA with a record of 0-0-0. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, Billy Joel. You guys know who he is, right?
This is definitely not Billy Joel.
This isn't Billy Joel. No, but let me tell you something about Billy Joel. He's going to perform at 7 iconic baseball stadiums this year, including the first ever concert at Baltimore's Oriole Park at Camden Yards. SiriusXM wants to give you the chance to be a big shot. Take your group of friends to go see Billy from the front row at the concert of your choice, plus dinner at an Italian restaurant. Not a Mexican restaurant, an Italian restaurant, not a Thai restaurant, an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Just in case people were like, well, that rules me out. Yeah. And you get a limo to the show as well. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/BillyJoelBaseball before April 30th. No additional purchase is necessary to enter or to win.
Josh, you have to ask about that. I'm so curious. Because the way they make it sound and how they emphasize Italian restaurant, I'm led to believe that maybe somebody, they had a Super Bowl contest, and it was hotel, flight, meet all the players, and go to a Chinese restaurant, and they went, Chinese, I'm going to pass. And they just said, you know what, for the next one, we got to come strong. Make sure it's an Italian restaurant.
And maybe Billy Joel's just known for that or something. I don't know.
Have you seen him yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you?
I've seen him, yeah.
I haven't. I want to
sign up for this.
He plays the Coliseum.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, just, I'll look into those rules. If you can weigh in, not on the 2 songs we just heard, but the 2 artists, Metallica or Billy Joel. I know that's random. My friend Kenny and I, we go back and forth on that all the time. I would say those 2 songs we heard coming back from break are 2 of the best by each of those. I know it's a random debate.
I know I just finished saying I like Billy Joel, but I would have rather read the whole read to Metallica. They had energy.
Wait, I'm sorry, is the question the quality of the 2 particular songs themselves? That was the question, right?
Yeah, I like the first one.
Are they 2 of the best Billy Joel and Metallica songs respectively?
I would say so.
That was the question, right?
So.
I don't know that.
No, just overall artist. If you could
overall artist. Oh, okay. What was the question?
That wasn't my favorite Billy Joel song by far.
Who would you rather see live? Let's keep it simple. Who would you rather see live?
Metallica.
My man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Metallica. I've seen both, although I will tell you this about Metallica.
I've never seen Metallica.
Metallica.
Oh, wait, maybe. No, I didn't.
Yeah. I saw Metallica with Cliff Burton back before the original bass player died. And that was the time to see Metallica. Like, now it's a huge stadium act and all that kind of stuff, and it's cool to see, but if you gave me a choice, I would take, like, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets era Metallica. That would be my choice.
Goes.
You want to weigh in on that one, Josh, or you're the Metallica guy?
Oh, I mean, that era Metallica, I'll put over anyone. I'm very jealous that you got to see that, Richard. I don't know if I like you more or less now. I'm very jealous. I wish I could have seen them in their alcohol-fueled just hate days, or Cliff Burton days too. I'm very jealous.
How about this, Josh? I have a Heineken beer bottle at my house that Metallica.
No way, you're gonna give it to Josh? That's so cool.
No, I'm just gonna tell him about it. I have a Heineken beer bottle at my house that the 4 members of Metallica signed before Cliff Burton died. That they drank at. They emptied the bottle, they drank it, and then they signed the beer bottle and gave it to me. And then
I got more questions about this.
Then my mom picked me up in the minivan and wanted to know why I had an empty Heineken beer bottle in my hands.
All right, we'll learn more about that story when we come back. Don't touch that dial. MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93.
I'm just in awe of that. I mean, Frank thinks it's cool, but it's like not in his wheelhouse, you know. He's more impressed that I'm impressed by it because he's not used to seeing me be so impressed by something.
Blah, blah, blah. Here are those 2 dummies, George and Goes.
All right, we're back, and we're going to talk some UFC 234. First hour was fun with Jerry Cooney popping in, Bret Ernst as well, and, of course, Cynthia Calvillo, UFC strawweight. But
flew by, huh?
Before we get to UFC 234, we cannot run out of time and not hear your Wimp to Warrior journey that you had.
I thought you were talking about the Heineken bottle.
Well, you kind of told the story.
Yeah.
No, that was
4 Metallica guys.
That was during the break.
No, he told the story before the break.
You told who it was?
Who drank the bottle?
Yeah, because remember I said that was going to be my first question.
Lars, all
4
right.
guys don't drink out of 1 bottle.
It was Lars's Heineken. Yeah.
And
then he emptied it and had the 4 guys sign it and handed it to me.
What year was that?
86, I think. 86. Because Cliff Burton was dead
That's
3 months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we talked about Wimp to Warrior when you fought.
Yeah.
And you told me, boy, do I got a story to tell you or something. I go, well, we'll save it for the show. But, you know, that was in December.
Yeah.
We're 2 months removed. Should have had you in here sooner. But like I told you, you know, hey, you went out there and you did it. And it was I was more impressed really with the camp.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever was going to happen in the fight, you know.
Thank you.
Even DC's lost. I mean, you know what I mean? But can you tell us?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I did this. If people aren't familiar with it, wimptowarrior.com is the website. It's an international program where guys and girls who want an amateur fight and have never had one before can do it. And it doesn't really matter what your age is or your body. It's a 5-month, 5-day-a-week training program. So the training program is what is very regimented. And you do it at a well-known fight gym, generally speaking, like they do it at like Sarah, or rather Weidman Longo, Gilbert Melendez does one at his gym, stuff like that. Here it was at Syndicate MMA this year. It's going to be at Extreme Couture coming up the next season. But anyway, I did it, and I had not planned to do it, and we had the guys on our Phone Booth Fighting podcast with myself and Frank Mir. We had the guys who run the program, and they're Australians. And so they came on, and it was a Saturday that we were taping this episode. The program started the following Monday, so 48 hours later. And on the air, they totally blindsided me and were like, hey, come on, do the program. Let's go. What are you waiting on? So I had 48 hours to decide to do this, and I did it. So I got up. I mean, the craziest part was like totally rearranging because it was a lifestyle, thing. I mean, I had jiu-jitsu training background, but the idea of getting up every morning at 5:30, 5 days a week for 5 months.
That's what Warrior is? 5:30 in the morning?
Well, I had to get up. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
By the time we started training, but yeah, and going through it all, and it was a full, full-on MMA fight camp.
Does it end
there were a lot of guys that went to their jobs after they got done.
So it ends before 8.
No, we would usually be done about 8:30. Yeah. And some guys had that. Some guys had to work it out with like their bosses. Hey, I'm going to be doing this thing. Are you cool with it? Fortunately, I run a brothel, so I can show up later. Mm-hmm. But so I did it. The program was super intense and everything, and what it leads up to is an actual live fight finale. So 5 months later, all the people who have stayed with the program, and of course you're going to have a number of them drop off and things like that, but all the people who stayed with the program get an amateur fight. You don't find out who the opponent is until the day before the fight, because we're all training together, so they don't want it to be weird, So it was like getting picked for dodgeball. You all show up to the weigh-ins and everything, the day before the fight, and you're waiting to get your opponent. And we had it, of the guys that you spar with, and of course ladies in the program too, but for me, the guys that I'm sparring with, I'm an average size guy, so I'm not sparring a lot with heavyweights, but I'm also not sparring a lot with flyweights, so you can kind of narrow it down to who you think you're getting paired up with. And there was myself and like 3 other guys that we were sparring a lot of rounds together, and we're all about the same size. We all thought for sure that we would be matched up 2 and 2. Those 3 guys get picked first. They get matched up first with other people. And I'm standing there, and they're looking at me like, what's going on here, So I end up not getting the opponent I thought I was going to get. I got a guy a guy named Scott's cool guy, nice guy, but he did have a bit of a height and reach advantage. He was 6'5", right? 6'8".
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
He was 6'8".
Who the hell was the matchmaker?
Jesse Rose Clark.
Oh, she was still the matchmaker.
Yeah.
Oh, you must have pissed her off.
I must have done something. I don't know.
Hey, Richard,
yeah.
Can I say something before you keep going?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a smile on my face this entire time. And it's not because of the way things happen. It's because him and I spent about 3 months cracking an abundance of jokes of just all the scenarios of how he would get picked, the things that would go on. And all I'm doing is remembering all the stupid things we've said the whole way through.
Yeah.
What you would do, all that stuff.
But a weigh-in implies that you two were in the same neighborhood of Wayne.
Well, so here's the thing.
The 6'8" guy, I mean.
Well, he's a very skinny guy, okay? Now, he probably had 20 pounds on me, maybe 25, 20, 25. But the thing was.
Like, who's he fighting, JJ from Good Times?
The weight classes were within reason because there weren't enough people in the program for like whole weight classes, so they just had to get close.
Under 200, over 200?
He had to be over 200. I bet he was a little bit over 200.
You're 170, aren't you?
Yeah, I was when I fought. I mean, he might have been right at 200. So, but that'll give you an idea. I wasn't worried so much about the weight difference as I was the reach. Actually, I should have been more worried about it because here's what happened. Even though I had jiu-jitsu training, I didn't have any striking training. That's where I learned the most in the 5 months was with striking. And so one of the things that I learned was the concept of, even though we talked about it a million times, it's obviously different when you're feeling it. You got live punches being thrown at you, was the concept of, okay, I'm an orthodox fighter, so my left is my jab, and that's my range finder, and I'm throwing it at you, and I'm finding my range, but as soon as I can touch you, that means you can touch me, that means it's go time, and I'm either throwing a right or shooting or whatever I'm doing, right? Well, that was the case with just about anybody I was sparring. The problem with Scott was that his reach was such that I was within his range a good 10 inches before he was in mine. So I'm range finding with that jab, and the next thing I knew, that jab gets parried down. He comes over with a right to the temple and drops me. And I wasn't out, but I was, because I remember having the thought of, I got to get up because he's coming. You know, I was up against the cage. I thought, okay, here he comes. I got to get up. But I do remember the first thing I saw
were stars.
No, I didn't see any stars, but the first thing I saw were shoes. And I thought, oh, this is bad. Because the referee's wearing shoes. Scott wasn't, you know what I mean? I see a pair of shoes, and I'm like, oh, they're real close to me. And so, sure enough, he's waving off the fight. So,
just from the one knockdown? Or was there a follow-up to that?
No, he didn't get another punch on me because the referee stepped in. And the other thing, too, is the referees at this level are going to be careful. I mean, nobody's looking for...
Did you say it was an early stoppage?
Go to the hospital. No, I didn't complain about an early stoppage. But that being said, I mean, if it had been...
5 months.
Yeah, but if it had been in, like, I don't know, like, Tough Enough or something like that, it probably would have gone a little longer. But no, that was all fine. That was all cool to have the experience. But the weird thing was the shot to the temple I recovered from, but I twisted my knee up pretty good when I went down. So now I've actually got an MRI on my knee next Monday because it's still kind of lingering. But the thing is, if I get cleared okay on the MRI, I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to do another season.
Style, you fell bent back?
No, I went down not backward. I went down straight, but it just if you see it, it's not natural. You know, I didn't have my footing underneath me.
It did a shift kind of.
Yeah, it's like
a run right now. Okay.
I can run. What would be weird is like if I kicked like a soccer ball with the side of my foot, it's more the side to side than it is the straight. But
okay, so what that is your medial collateral. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but it was, I mean, I'll tell you this. It gave me a new, not that I was never, I think just covering the sport, I was never one of those people that was like, oh, I can't believe that guy got knocked out so quick. He had no business being in there. Like, we know better than that as media people. But it did give me a new appreciation for the fact that, sometimes stuff like that happens. Like, you can have two people who have trained to do something and, one of them just can't get out of the starting block. So I had the whole experience of first thing that happened was because Frank was in my corner. Frank's in there going, okay, what day is it? Where are you? All this kind of stuff. And I remember because Jennifer, my girlfriend, comes running over and she's all worried and everything, And Frank's asking me, he's giving me the round of questions, and nodding his head. And he looks at her and he goes, worst case, just a slight concussion. He's fine. And in his world, that's fine. Yeah. She was a little more worried about it. But I tell you, it was a great way to have a midlife crisis because it was way cheaper than like a sports car or something like that. And it's a great story to tell. But
what'd you do with the hair? Did you get your favorite braid?
Oh, let me tell you something.
Ponytail like Tony.
Scott Mayo won.
I told you can't do that. I gave you the statistic.
I couldn't do braids?
White guys do braids. Didn't go well.
Oh, it's the only way that I can actually hold this back. Like, I've had that in jiu-jitsu tournaments where there's nothing else to work.
With a couple bands, right? You could do that. You could do...
Nothing else will work. You got to have the cornrows. And I will say this. Scott may have won the fight, but I had the best cornrows, male or female, of anyone on the card. But
so you're going to do it again, huh?
Yeah, I am.
I am
going to do it again. We're starting March the 11th. So if I get the clean bill of health from the doctor on Monday, then I'm signing up for another season. Because I feel like I can at least have that story of having two MMA fights on my record. That sounds cooler than just the one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you guys retired 0-0-0 because of injuries. But, if you had your choice, had it not been for the injuries, it is even if it's like 0-2, it still sounds better that you have two fights on the record, right?
Just in general,
undefeated, it's pretty cool, though, at 0-0-0.
Well, yeah, you can claim to be. Yeah, that's true. You can be undefeated.
We're kind of on the Mount Rushmore of that when you think about it.
All the people that retired 0-0. Yeah, you're right.
All right, listen, guys. The fights go down tomorrow, but there's already been some press conferences out in Australia, and our John Morgan caught up with Dana White. Well, did we decide, Josh, was it a scrum setting or was it a one-on-one, some of those videos? Did you tell?
It was a scrum setting.
It was a scrum setting.
John kind of did his thing and basically made it a one-on-one.
John always goes first.
Yeah.
He's the dean of the scrum.
Everybody defers to John Morgan.
Yeah.
It used to be, I've been in the sport so long, it used to be Kevin Iole, and then he'd give the mic to John. And then I was at the event where John started it off. I looked at John as if to say, like, oh, tip of the hat.
Passing of the torch.
He finished, because he had just finished and given it to Kevin, and he kind of gave me a wink, like, yeah, that's what's up.
Do you want to know what John's tell is when you can jump in on the scrum when he's done?
No, it isn't.
When he does his last question, what he'll do is he'll preface it
last
by
one for me?
No, he'll go, and just quickly if I could. That's his catchphrase.
He knows all of them for all the media.
Yeah.
He gave me like a whole list of
really?
Time.
Yeah.
I was like,
let's hear Bret Okamoto from ESPN.
Oh, Bret. I don't know. Okay, Bret doesn't have a verbal one so much as he has a visual one. Bret, first of all, is the most handsome man on Media Row. And he does a couple things
on
that...
Media Row?
Huh?
Media
Row. Media Row. Okay. Oh, yeah. Bret
I was like, wow, this guy's got coins? Okay.
No. But the thing that Bret does is Bret does a couple things that I love.
He is smooth.
Oh, so smooth.
Yeah.
What he does is, first of all, in the press conference, he'll sit about 3 rows back. He's not the kid that sits at the front of the class and has his hand up or whatever. He's way cooler than that. He'll sit back there. He always carries a copy of the New York Times under his arm.
Yes.
Love that.
Reads it every day.
Okay. His tie is always kind of loose.
Yeah.
He's wearing a tie because he's a pro, but it's loose. Top button's undone. It's a little loose. And what he'll do is, with the microphone, he'll sit kind of sideways in the chair if you're watching us on video, and the left arm will kind of hang over the back, and the right elbow is on the table. The microphone is in the hand, but it's kind of loose. It's kind of limp like this. See what I mean? See how cool and casual this looks?
Yeah.
And he'll fire his questions like in this posture.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's very offsets the fighters who a lot of times, they come with all this vibrato about, hey, no member of the press going to push me. And I think they're confused by how relaxed and calm and cool he is when he's firing off, very legitimate questions, but he's doing it like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Kevin Iole? You got something for him?
Kevin Iole does not have a catchphrase. I'll tell you one that does come to mind.
You told me he's got everybody.
No,
I'm 0 for 2 in the line.
I'm trying to think of the people that I do
which
have.
ones do you have?
I got
Adam Hill.
Let me give you Damon Martin.
Damon Martin, all right.
Damon Martin's is I'm just curious.
That's what he
So
says?
yeah, if you're ever on a conference call or whatever,
Okay.
yep, he's gonna that should be the name of it, like his autobiography.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a great name, great title.
Well, here's what Dana White said about Robert Whittaker, who is defending his title on Saturday, you guys, against Kelvin Gastelum. Cut number 1, please.
Yeah, listen, if you look at the fights that he's fought, this guy's good. He's very talented, and he just doesn't have that. We got to beat him over the head with a stick to get him to do media and things like that. He's just not that guy. So, eventually you keep running through people and keep winning, and he'll get the respect he deserves.
See, I don't think he's underrated. If you've gone 10 rounds with Yoel Romero and you've beaten Jacare and some of those other killers that he's beaten, what he just doesn't have is title defenses. But his road to the top, was against some of the best out there. I think a lot of people respect what he's done.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't call him overrated. I think he just needs title defenses. And let's face it, the apex of that division is Anderson Silva. It takes a while to get there.
I don't think
anyone can ever do it.
I think underrated is the wrong term. I think either under-recognized or underappreciated is the right term. Because
underappreciated.
Yeah, because I think it's more from a standpoint of mainstream recognition and ability to be that recognizable face on the billboard or the poster or whatever, which I think is coming. Obviously, this right here is a big opportunity for that. But I think it's more that. I don't think he's underrated. Certainly, I don't underrate him, and no one I know does.
Yeah.
But there is a level of, compared to some other champions, he may just not be as appreciated.
All right, Dana goes on. He's talking about the UFC, is building talent overseas, because we got Israel Adesanya, who's from New Zealand. We got Robert Whittaker, who's from Australia, and other parts of the world are blossoming. Habib, and on the European side, but he talks a little bit about building the talent overseas. Cut number 2, please, Josh.
We're actually building a UFC Performance Institute there that's 3 times bigger than the one in Vegas. We're going into Korea this year. We're going to continue to. It's all about creating talent. And I mean, if you think about our first trip over to Australia, you know what I mean? There weren't a lot of people training in mixed martial arts in Australia back in the beginning when we first came. And now you got a world champion and, real talent coming out of this place and a real fan base here now. So it takes time, it takes money, and it takes effort. And we're doing the same thing, not just there, but all over the world. We're looking at doing stuff in Mexico, Puerto Rico, and many, many other places around the world. But Australia has built into an incredible market for us, as far as fans and fighters.
If you guys are boxing fans, you'll know that Puerto Rico and Korea, South Korea, are big, are countries that have produced a lot of talent in boxing. And if they can do the same for MMA, that would be huge. Oceania, again, New Zealand and Australia, is very big right now. You got Volkanovski's doing great at 45. Those heavyweights like Tai Tuivasa, Mark Hunt's, I guess, towards the latter stages, but Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, Tyson Pedro, he's kind of hit a rough patch, but Dan Hooker, Jake Matthews, they're doing pretty well for themselves over there. But this thing sold out in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's why this UFC 234 is kind of top-heavy. What I've started to run into is a lot of people that told me I'm not getting it. Because the main, Whittaker versus Gastelum, and the co-main, Adesanya versus Silva, you can't ask for anything better. But after that, there's a drop-off.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. I have to go to a 50th birthday party of a friend of mine, so I'm not going to watch it. Therefore, I'm just not going to buy it. But if I wasn't going, this is one of the ones where I'd be asking goes, Hooters, or are we going to split this with someone? Are we going to someone's house or one of the station's casinos?
Especially with
How do you
that
feel about
TV
it?
thing. I mean, they finally got it figured out.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think they have just a one-show deal for now until they can work it out.
Right.
But I was thinking the exact same thing. It's one of those where you kind of look on Facebook and see, is anybody else in the party? Because you're just right. It's very top-heavy. But then after that, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought the same thing when I looked at the card. Yeah.
But it sold out in 7 minutes, so they know where they're at, and they probably knew we don't really have to spill a lot of talent onto this fight card because we're going to sell out anyway. But then again,
they have to kind of view that as 2 different business models. I mean,
wondering, well, we don't get in on the flyweight division.
Fight and whatever. We haven't made any decisions on that yet.
Catchphrase.
You know what that means? It is 2 months, so that would be the April 13th pay-per-view. Fighting, well,
it's to go around. Nobody knows what's happening. What are those guys getting told?
Yeah. Hopefully, what he meant to say is, once we decide who's fighting TJ at 135, we'll then make a decision. But I don't want. It sounded to me almost like he's saying until that fight plays out. You know what I mean? Like we know the result of that fight, and I don't see why we would need to.
Yeah.
Because if Cejudo wins, okay, is he just on that anyway? I mean, there really, really is great athletes there. What he should be more concerned of is what are they going to do with 45? Cyborg didn't have that many fights left. You just did a whole season, and some of the young ladies went to 35 anyway. You know, like, why'd you even create that decision? Like, why didn't you guys have the foresight to see that that was pretty much a catastrophe waiting to happen? But yet 25 you can just yank out. So maybe it doesn't draw a ton of ratings or sell a lot of people. There's still great fights that you can have on these fight cards. You know what I mean? You can still make the champion a co-main event somewhere on a pay-per-view. People still enjoy watching those fights. The Cejudo fight and Johnson fight, Mighty Mouse Johnson, I remember looking at Twitter when we all thought it was 2-2, and I remember people going, wow, what a fight. This is – and I'm talking about fans they used to have, and now all of a sudden they found the appreciation.
Josh, what do you think?
In Henry Cejudo, I'm thinking, well, George, I'll throw it back at you. I'll answer your question with a question. What do you think Henry Cejudo should invest more in, and what has a brighter future in his life, his title or Nikki Bella?
He's already achieved pretty high in those.
They'll come and go. Just his title.
I don't know.
Let me look up Nikki Bella.
What lasts longer?
I go Nikki Bella. You already got the belt. You already got the gold medal. Why not dabble another?
Ooh, she is pretty hot.
Yeah.
So I thought he blew it though with her.
No, it's back on. Nikki tweeted at him the other day. They might even be in the same not this weekend because I think he's at the card. But no, it's back on. Even though he said he wants to pile drive her hard, it's back on.
That was a terrible line. It was one of the worst ones ever.
She's 35. How old's Henry? Anybody know?
What?
How old's Henry?
He ain't 35.
No.
Early. Is he 30
32?
Yeah, he's 31.
She's 35. But, you know, women are 10 years more mature than us.
They are?
Oh, yeah. So maybe at least 5 years. So
introduce me to some of those.
He's 32. She's 31. She's 35. Nah, man. Hit that and bounce.
Yeah.
Concentrate on your career. All right. Now, our daily debate is going to have to do with the 4 middleweights that are partaking in the top 2 fights. Holy cow, I got a frog in my throat. But I want to hear a cut from each guy because I want you guys to weigh in on daily debate when we come back from break. But we still got a couple minutes here. So, if you don't mind, Josh, from Israel Adesanya, I want you to play a cut 1 on Dana confirming whether or not he gets the title shot. Or the winner does.
Like I said, when we had the meeting, he had other ideas. After 2:30, he said, I texted him straight after the fight, I want to fight this guy, and he's like, oh, pump the brake, kid. But yeah, when we had a meeting, we talked face to face. I let him know this ain't my first rodeo. I've been doing this for a long time as well. So yeah, the cat's out the bag. So I'm about to be champion 2019.
Do you guys think if it's fair that Anderson gets a shot at the title if he wins, that Israel should get a shot at the title if he wins, thereby, by the way, passing by Jacare Souza, who got back in the win column after losing to Kelvin Gastelum?
I think
or
on
there's
paper,
another middleweight that you think maybe deserves to go ahead.
On paper, I think it makes sense, but it depends how he wins the fight, right? Because that's part of the stigma that comes along with him.
Can he win the fight in an unspectacular fashion? He just can't. They're built for each other. One of those two is going to win in spectacular fashion.
Yeah. If he wins in spectacular fashion, he's ranked 6th, I think. I think the UFC has him at 6th. And once you get into that, right on the cusp of top 5, that's a lot easier to be interchangeable based on, how dynamic your last win was and that sort of thing. So I don't think there will be a huge controversy if he gets a title shot, if he beats Silva in spectacular fashion, like we said.
All right, now, regarding Anderson Silva, if he wins, and he wins the title at 44, would this make him the best ever? Let's hear that one. Anderson Silva, cut 1, please.
When I talking about fight, people talking about you the best or something the best, it's not about the best. It's about how much you doing something special for this sport, And when I fight for my opponents inside UFC, the guys help me to doing something special for everybody, It's not about one guy. It's about the whole family, UFC family.
The answer to that question is yes.
I don't think it makes him the best ever. He's had some losses. And there's been others that have come since then who they have amazing records. John Jones, Daniel Cormier, GSP. But I think, it'd be hard to argue that he's not the most exciting ever. And that's not a bad title to have.
One of them, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just some of his big wins weren't like Damian Maia, right? He's not a striker. And he had one eye closed, and yet he was the one telling Anderson.
Yeah, he had a couple bad
He has
nights.
a couple wins that didn't look good. You know what I mean? So it would be tough.
Well, I'll tell you one thing he will have going for him if that were to happen is he would probably have the most impressive comeback. Now, the other guys we're talking about, maybe save GSP, the other guys haven't gotten old enough yet to have a comeback, and in a physical sense. I mean, John Jones had the suspensions, but we haven't gotten to 40-something John Jones who's now trying to come back, or 42-year-old Demetrius Johnson or something like that. So whereas, let's say Dan Henderson fell a little short when he tried to do it, getting that title shot against Michael Bisping, I think that if Anderson can do it at that age, still doesn't make him the greatest, but it does enable him to say something about the longevity of his career.
At least he's in the conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely in the conversation.
Right. Okay. From Robert Whitaker, I'd like to play cut number 1 regarding fighting Gastelum and how it's going to test him.
Fighting this weekend is just inevitable. You know, it's something that every fighter has to go at some point if they try testing us and learning from it. And
no disrespect to he's a test, but think back to, or do you think Gastelum's it's like, I don't know what's going to test you.
You know what? Just borrow a take from
this guy's the semester final.
Not exactly that, but I'll just, and this is not my thought, this is my Paul Romero is this world-class wrestler that he's not really a boxer. That he's got knockout power, but a lot of times it's one punch, right? He believes with Gastelum's actually a pretty good boxer, and your paths to takedown. And of course, Gastelum has solid, and Gastelum will probably hang with him longer than that. I believe that. It's tough to comment to say, but yeah.
All right, last one here.
You know, everything I've worked for, I had to take, and here I am in Australia. I'm here to take that gold.
He's right. I mean, it seems like he's been the underdog.
Oh yeah, last picked on the Ultimate Fighter.
And I would dare say that almost every fight that he's had, it'd probably be a rare occurrence where at least 50% or more have Gastelum.
Yeah.
It seems like it's always the other way around. But he's channeled it. It's fueled him. And look where he's at now. He's playing with house money, Richard Hunter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If things just don't go well for whatever chance, for whatever happens on Saturday, by some chance, he still has that 170 card to play, because I think now he'll be more mature and he can get there safely with a weight cut, PI at his disposal, and he does have a split decision loss to Tyron Woodley, but he wasn't champion then, so at least that gives him the confidence to know he can bang one of the best. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do our daily debate. It will be UFC middleweight driven, so stay close and don't touch that dial. We'll be right back, and we have Richard Hunter from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast as our guest co-host for the day. expert analysis, and more on Sirius 207 XM86, and streaming on your phone or at home on Sirius XM connected devices and speakers. All right, guys, it is time for the daily debate. Kind of teased it a little bit with some of those audio cuts that we played earlier. Shout out to John Morgan, Ken Hathaway. Which hashtag UFC 234? Going back in, though, the way they shoved Cody Garbrandt, because they knew they had a potential star there. Let's give him the rematch. Or Joanna, let's give her the rematch. With Ryder be like, what do you know? You gave it your best, kid. You know, but there's always been like a circle back to Rockhold and Weidman and some of these other guys. But like I say, everyone respects them, but I guess there's just not that aura yet that the fans have embraced. All right, that said, my choice came in last. This is how it broke down. What was it, 1,842 votes. 44% said Israel Adesanya.
Yeah!
27% said Anderson Silva.
Yes.
22% said Calvin Gastelum. And 7% said Robert Whittaker. Okay. That was like Jose Luis Rivera. Remember that jobber for the WWE? He just kind of threw his fist up or whatever. There you have it. There's today's Daily Debate. Brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team and Richard Hunter from the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. All right. Let's do some final predictions for UFC 234. Has anything switched, goes, since we did our main event breakdown for you with Robert Whittaker versus Calvin Gastelum? What goes down in about 24 hours?
I picked Calvin Gastelum, and seeing them stand next to each other, a lot of it on The Ultimate Fighter. Meaner has changed a little bit. He lacks on the show. And now I'm a little nervous about my pick.
Richard Hunter, what do you
I'm going to take Kelvin in this fight just because I think there are too many factors with Kelvin Gastelum that get overlooked in this, and I'm going to go with Gastelum.
Whittaker is minus 225.
Yep.
And Gastelum plus 205. And anybody that's wondering, they did have the ceremonial weigh-in, which was actually the actual weigh-ins. Because of the time difference, they didn't bother with the fighters coming in 8 hours earlier. So everybody's midweight. In fact, Kelvin Gastelum came in at 184. So both guys are good to go. Now, the co-main event. I'm still look, I think Gastelum, I disagree with you on one thing goes. I think Gastelum can win, but I think he can win by just I love his hands. I love his boxing, like Richard said. And if he puts them on you, you can be in a lot of trouble. So that said, I see that being more of a likely scenario in the first 2 rounds. If the fight goes longer, I love the experience that Whittaker has as a champion. He's had to show patience. He's had to dig deep, especially in the Romero fight. That I think it would favor him the longer it goes. But if I have to only pick one name, I'm going with Robert Whittaker here. All right, let's save the co-main event for just a couple minutes from now because we got to take our last break. So let's do that. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. When we come back, we'll tell you the odds for the co-main event featuring Israel Adesanya and Anderson Silva, and we'll give you our final picks.
Dummies.
2 a.m. Eastern with Sean O'Connell and Jimmy Smith.
Can you imagine how bummed out Sean McDonald was? He's listening to a Sirius XM radio, and he just heard George announce that he's a millionaire. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Dope.
All right, Richard Hunter. We are going to do our predictions here for Adesanya versus Anderson Silva, but I want to hear the story about
when Paul Heyman threatened to sue me.
Yeah, what happened there?
Okay, so I was in probably my mid-20s, and I worked in pro wrestling for a few years before I got into radio, and not as a wrestler, but I basically produced the television show. I did the play-by-play commentary, and then I was what they call the booker, which is the guy behind the scenes. You're going to match up with him, and you're mad at him because of this, and it's like writing a bad play. So I did it for an NWA affiliate, which is an old territory in pro wrestling in the Texas, Oklahoma area.
Not Ice Cube and the guys.
No, not those guys. So this was in the Texas, Oklahoma area. Anyway, so when I did it, Paul Heyman's ECW was still around, if you've heard the Extreme Championship Wrestling, right? But it was in financial trouble. They always had a lot of money problems. And in their latter years, they literally ran out of money, but they tried to keep it together with, Scotch tape for a long period of time before it went out of business. So they were trying to travel with that show. It was an East Coast-based operation, but they were trying to do road shows, and they were trying to come to Dallas. Well, our wrestling promotion, their talent was able to freelance. It's not like the WWE where they were only under contract to those guys. So you could actually book ECW guys to come do your local wrestling show as a freelance. Well, we contacted a few of them at ECW and said, hey, you're coming into town, work our card, and we'll make you a little extra money, and you won't be having to pay extra travel and things like that. Okay. Well, obviously, ECW would not be happy about that because they were running a show in Dallas. We're in neighboring Fort Worth, but that's going to deplete part of their draw. But, that's the business. Okay. So what happens is Heyman's ECW cancels the show they were running in Dallas because of money problems. They contact the promoter. They say, hey, or he contacts the promoter, says, hey, show's off. Can't do it. We can't make it. So, but he goes and tells the ECW wrestlers, including the ones that my promotion had talked to about coming and working, hey, we were all set to do that show, but that other promotion was running in town, and they started advertising that a few of you guys were working that show, and that's what killed our ticket sales for ECW, so now we can't go do the show. So it was like he was putting it on them, not telling them that before that conversation even came up, he had contacted the promoter in Dallas and canceled their show, right? It was like a scapegoat thing. Well, I knew the person who, it was a place called the Bronco Bowl in Dallas. I knew the guy that booked it. So I contacted him, and he sent me the email from Paul Heyman with the date on it saying when he canceled the show and everything. So I, being my 25-year-old self or however old I was, I put that up on our website. And Paul Heyman, who was notoriously difficult to get a hold of because he was always ducking creditors and stuff like that, like you just couldn't get a hold of the guy.
Couldn't you call Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, this was before Brock Lesnar. But you couldn't get a hold of him. But miraculously, you did hear from him, or you heard from his brother, who's a lawyer, when that happened. And Paul Heyman threatened to sue me over that because I had put that up on the website.
What did the wrestlers say when they saw that?
They were like, this typical BS, because they had always gotten they'd always gotten stories about, oh, your money's on the way, oh, we got to work this one more show and then we'll make the money to pay you, and a lot of that kind of stuff. But I have always thought that if under any scenario in the future, whether it be MMA or even pro wrestling or something, if the Lesnar Mir 3 fight is ever made,
you're gonna hit him over the head with a guitar.
Yes, that their two sidekicks will have legitimate heat between them, and I can use this story as a way to fuel our feud.
What would be
myself
your prop?
And Heyman. My prop would probably be a thesaurus.
A thesaurus?
Yeah, I think so.
No, you're a musician. You can use a guitar, and if somebody goes, wait, you're like cornet. No, this is a bass.
I could do that. You're right, and that would be a more formidable instrument, actually.
You're
but
gonna kill him.
I kind of like the idea of having the thesaurus and opening it up to find a different way to paraphrase my insult that I've previously hurled at you before I hit you with. So it's like a 1-2. I verbally assault you, and then I hit you with the thesaurus.
We got to bounce. Catch Richard and Frank Mir on the Phone Booth Fighting Podcast. Subscribe to them on iTunes. You'll really, really dig it. They've been doing this for a couple years now. And real quick, guys, Adesanya or Silva?
Adesanya.
Josh, Adesanya or Silva?
Adesanya, man.
Goes.
Lasagna.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. All right, keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend, and don't forget about the pre- and post-fight coverage tomorrow night on Fight Nation Channel 93. For Josh and Richard and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice weekend. Be a champion.
Hey, Goes.
Huh?
Shit.
Come over here.